You stupid sadistic. Oh, the snow's coming off the roof. It's really mild right now. It's like +2 or something like that. So I'm gonna clean my chimney today. Good day to do that. I don't have to light a fire. But it was snowing and sleeting and raining last night. It was pretty yucky. And yeah, so there's gonna be some shoveling today. Not as bad as the other day. The other day was quite ridiculous. But the problem is when it's mild, the snow is like 5 times heavier. It's like 10 pounds per square inch on the shovel. Anyway, World War III update. I'm going to start right in on my own country here, Canada. The Russians are talking about lifting sanctions on the new Canadian ambassador to Russia, which is Miss Freeland. You know, the one that was doing the Trans-Pacific trade or the TTIP deal, the one that was kind of like pulling her hair out. Her. Now, there's been a cabinet shuffle here in Canada. Check out my hat. Basically, what's going on with the Trudeau government is, and it's costly. Cabinet shuffles are not that uncommon, but there's like I think 6 or 8 of them that are being shuffled around, and 2 that are retiring and stuff like that. John McClellan, we'll start with him. I can't stand that guy. I think he's going to Germany, and good riddance. I think because these guys want to run the UN. That's why John McClellan. But if he's out of my country, I'm okay with that. Problem is this guy is a very UN-oriented guy, so he's one of them. He might not look like much to the average person, but I do believe behind the scenes, and other people have mentioned some other names there, I kind of forget some of the names, but Jean Chrétien, John McClellan, them type of guys, I think they do work hand in hand, and these guys work directly with George Soros. That type of thing. The other one is Stéphane Dion, who I didn't know was a dual citizen. He's going to be the ambassador to France, and he's a half French citizen and half Canadian citizen. I'm really against dual citizens in our government, like in high prominent positions of the government, because it's like these dual Israeli citizens and stuff like that. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. Like, are they really here for our interest? It's a loyalty issue. Again, when I'm prime minister, I'm going to change that. You have to be born in Canada to serve at the higher echelons of government. Yes, we're going to discriminate. That type of thing. It's because you just don't know if they're truly, and the actions that these guys take, I mean, they're definitely not pro-sovereignty of Canada. They're pro-UN. So those 2 guys are moving around. There's a few, Marc Garneau, I forget where he's moving to. But the 2 girls, I did a video on them not too long ago about doing the right thing, and the one that was in charge, I forget her name right now, that was in charge of the Elections Act to reform the electoral process here in Canada, has underperformed. Again, this is what gender parity does. Again, it's not about qualifications, it's about quotas. And these people are failing. Now, the other one, I don't know if I can imagine she's probably stepped down by now. If she hasn't, then, I mean, she's masochistic to herself because, just way in overhead. And people are, one of the main complaints was that, of the underperformance, is that all they can do in the House of Parliament is just keep regurgitating the party line. That's it. There's no dialogue or argument. It's just, and it's their own party members want them out of there. So they're trying to get more competent people there. But they still have to go with this gender parity thing. And, you have to have 50% women and stuff like that. So, again, like I said, with Justin Trudeau, it's twice as sexist to appoint women because filling quotas than it is to actually let the ones that are competent, rise to the top. And if there happens to be fewer of them, then that's on the women. That's not on the men. Same with minorities and everything. You should earn your way to the top. You shouldn't be, because when you just hand things to people, this is a participation war, which on a small level, nobody cares, but on a world stage or running a country, yes, you need competent people. So the Trudeau government, I think this is shuffle number 1 within the first year. But, again, you do get that. That isn't out of the ordinary. It's just, it's a little larger than normal, I think. And again, it's not like when the Conservative Party would shuffle people around, they would take somebody who is, okay, well, they're competent in this area, but they're also perfectly adapted to this area. And they shuffle them around, and none of them are ever questioned whether they're competent or not. I'm not saying the Conservatives are the best, because there are some Conservatives like Brasseur. There, he was, he was a complete, nutter, that type of thing. Okay, yeah, sure, you get them, and they purge them out of the party right away. That was one of the things that with the Harper government that you noticed, they'd go to bat for you, but if you went against the party man, you're on your own, and that type of thing. But with the Liberals, it's like you have one of the Liberal MPs out there saying, well, what it shows is that, nobody's positions are guaranteed. You have to perform, which, valid statement. But the problem is this isn't a social experiment. This isn't something that is supposed to be, let's keep trying until we get it right. This is supposed to be, when you're at that level, when you're on CPAC, when you're in the House of Commons, you got to be the best at what you're doing. It's just that it's not even a matter of who elected you or whatever. You're an appointed person. You need to be the most competent. If you look at what Donald Trump's doing, yes, there's a lot of questions about, one thing you'll question about Donald Trump is the people that he, especially the Goldman Sachs crowd, that he's surrounding himself by. Nobody questions, they question why he's doing that, but they don't question, are these people competent? They know these people know the system. But maybe some of the arguments you're getting is that, Trump is surrounding himself with people who know how to undo the damage that was done, because they know how it was done, Locksmiths. A lot of locksmiths, strangely enough, were people that were arrested for breaking into things. They get hired because they know how, that's their expertise, right? They know how to break into things. That's why they become the best locksmiths, because they know how, they know what tricks are going to be used against you, right? Think of it like that. Anyway, we have a weird thing going on over there in Iraq and Syria. We have a handful of, something like 200 U.S. troops just dropped in, and they're removing people and bodies from some of the areas and papers and stuff like that. So it looks like they're a cleanup crew. Now, for the guys that do this, okay, here's the thing you have to understand. If you're removing CIA and Mossad agents or whatever and carrying bodies out, apparently they've captured a few prominent ISIS leaders or whatever. But it sounds more what they're doing is that they're, okay, well, the operation has failed. We have to get our guys out of there, because if they get caught, they're going to be tortured until they speak, right? And if they speak, the jig's up. That type of thing. So that's probably what they're doing. It's funny how this team knows where to go. They know exactly where to go in. And again, they're not taking any fire or nothing. They're going in, that type of thing. So what I would say is for these guys just following orders, understand that these guys that you're helping out are also the same guys that were guiding the guys to shoot at your other guys. You know what I mean? They're using, to me, it makes, if people look at it from keeping the United States safe, even as a soldier, I would be looking at this, you're telling me these guys were arming ISIS all along, and I, just got to shut up and follow orders? Maybe that's why I wouldn't make a good soldier. But I'm like, no, because these guys would get my buddies killed. They would get my buddies killed supporting these guys. Yeah, again, so clean up. So that's what again, can you prove it 100%? No, but that's what it sounds like what they're doing. The U.S. is also threatening to shoot down the North Korean missile test. Next one coming up. Same as last time. If it goes out of bounds, we're going to shoot it down. But there's also rumors that the THAAD system might not be able to stop these missiles. That type of thing. And we know that the North Koreans, when they do these surprise nuclear tests, allow Kim Jong-un to explain. Hello, what we're going to do is we're going to have a missile test on a Friday. Wednesday, haha, it's Wednesday, we waited it off. And you never even saw it coming because we're brilliant. And I have my mighty fist here to hit the big red button to launch the missile. You better feel me big time. Hear my fearsome voice. This is Kim Jong-un speaking. Anyway, yeah, so, but anyway, yeah, so, because remember that submarine missile test? That came as a surprise. Remember, North Korea, they're nothing. And there's a lot to that. Yeah, they do tend, they got their tactical rocket tractors. I'm not making this up. They have tactical rocket tractors. Now, mind you, mobility-wise, these things can go anywhere and they're small. So they might, maybe the joke's on me, and man, these things might be way more lethal than you could possibly imagine. They make the perfect ambush, little ambush tractor. You know what I mean? Yeah, you only get one battery of firing out of it. But yeah, they got things like 1950 style rocket tractors or whatever, and their NK-41 missile or NK-40 missile, whatever that missile is out there, that's supposed to be kind of like their Topol-M mobile launch, and then they've got this big missile that takes 3 weeks to set up. So the North Koreans they're not ready for world domination yet. That's what he thinks. But yeah, so yeah, they're a long way from world domination. But that said, remember those 50 North Korean subs that went missing? We still don't know where those things are. They're still out there. Maybe they've come back, but there doesn't seem to be any news on them. But that said, they do have a submarine that is capable of firing nuclear, basically ICBMs and they do believe it's Chinese technology. I don't think the North Koreans are creating this stuff. They're working with probably the Iranians. I know there's an Iranian connection for the North Korean military with missile technology and stuff like that, and of course the Chinese. So I think what happens is the Chinese, this submarine missile that they fired. Again, nobody saw it coming. Scared the shit out of the Japanese. They're like, "What the hell is this thing? Where they're going to be fired on or whatever?" And it landed in their so-called waters. But I mean, those waters are so tight down there. It's like you move 2 inches, you move a boat length or a submarine length, you're in somebody else's water down, and everything's disputed. So the North Koreans are, "No, we're in our own waters," and the Japanese, "No, that's our waters." Chinese, "That's not their waters, that's ours." "No, Taiwan, that's our waters." Philippines, "No, that's our waters." They're all claiming the same clump of water, right? So so who's telling the truth? It's disputed, right? And it's for them to work out. I think if they would just cooperate, they could, the Senkaku Daiju Islands, how about everybody just invest in a certain amount and just work together on it? If you really want to rip every resource out of the ground, fine, do it as a team, that type of thing, But, it's funny how people can't come up with simple solutions like that. It's just, gotta dominate, can't let anybody else, stupid, like it's so stupid. But anyway, yeah, so they do have technology that if you're not looking at it, can get the upper hand on you. It's just they don't have lots of it. So this is where North Korea becomes a very useful idiot to China. China still, at the end of the day, does control North Korea. It's the only thing keeping the United States from, going into North Korea. That said, there was also a B-52. I don't know if I know it. That lost an engine in the air around the area. The B-52s, they're going to be mentioned a couple times here, but they are going to be getting upgrades, and they need upgrades. But keep in mind, the B-52s came out in the 1950s. That's how long these airplanes have been flying. They've been revamped a few times. The fuselage has been stretched on them. The wing area has been stretched on them. They've gotten upgrade engines. But at the end of the day, this workhorse is half a century old, more than half a century old. You know what I mean? Like they really are. It's time to either build a new bomber for the U.S., but they're such a great design as a bomber. They fly as fast as any airliner. They can level a 10-mile strip with conventional 500-pound bombs. They can carry enough, if they were to take off with a chain attached to them, they'd pull the planet away. These things are just massive. I've been in a B-52 at air shows and stuff like that. They're sitting on the tarmac and the wings are just, like so much lift there. The B-52s are something else to be seen. And when you see them flying, it's like they're actually quite quiet for the size of them. The engines are more of a jet engine, like a fighter jet engine. So they would need, if they had more like airliner type engines, I can only imagine they'd be able to fly around the planet on like one fuel loading. So if they can put more fuel efficient engines in there, wow, it'd be something else. But yeah, one lost an engine, like literally engine fell off the aircraft type of thing. Again, but you see what falls off of you when you're 60, you know what I mean? 67 years old, whatever it is. So that's something to keep in mind. China's also talking about getting revenge on Donald Trump for the for the One China policy, going against the One China policy and talking to Taiwan. So we're going to have to see where Trump really stands on Taiwan. The concerns I have for Trump is Iran and China. Trade war definitely with China, but again, it depends how Trump does this. What Trump has to do in order to pull this off is put all his ducks in a row. Now remember, Trump said it's going to take him about 2 years to be able to pull everything off. That's if things go smoothly, which I don't think things are going to go smoothly. But if he starts deregulating in the United States first, before he tackles the NAFTA and stuff like that, the trade war stuff, and sees the economy starting to boom in the United States, then he can cut all these trade deals. But if he does that now, you can't, because that is the system right now. That you can't just do it right now. Up here in Canada, they are nervous about Trump. There's 36 U.S. states that heavily rely on Canadian trade. Remember, as bordering nations go, Canada and the United States are the two largest trading nations in the world. Nobody does more trade within their borders than Canada and the United States. Now, the United States does way more trade with China than they do with us. But as a border states, they do more trade with us than they do Mexico, for example. That type of thing. So, with that said, it's like the big things here is Canada is solely on the hook, line, and sinker of NAFTA and stuff like that. There's even talks of Brian Mulroney coming into to Trudeau. These are just rumors. God help us. I mean, it was Mulroney that brought in NAFTA for Canada, and NAFTA's been a bad thing for Canada. The very little good we got out of it, I mean, it turned us into a service sector economy. And, whatever. But yeah, so China's doing that. Obama proves uranium to Iran. Obama makes no sense. And enough to build 10 warheads. So with Iran, they've got the hard water that they're making for it. I don't think Iran is building nukes. Here's why. It would just be, this is where that North Korea-Iran connection goes back. Remember, don't be afraid to go over some of my older World War III updates. Sorry, must pause for cat. Remember back in 2010 when one, shoot, one, out, in or out, pick one, cat. Well, I'm going to heat the outdoors. Runs to the door, then stands there when you open the door. Like, well, you didn't want to go out, so, So, remember that freighter, that North Korean freighter that was on its way to Iran full of missiles? Well, I think what happens is, or the other way around, I can't remember which way it was. I think it was that way, but the thing what I think is happening is the Iranians probably, okay, well, we'll give you missile technology. You give us warheads. You know what I mean? So I'm sure they can do that, and I'm sure they are doing that, and who knows how they're doing it. One way they can transport warheads for the North Koreans is via submarine. Yes. Gotta pull your tail. Me girl. Work for my affection. Anyway. Yeah, so she has to make her appearance. So, but Obama's doing a lot of things in this past week there to basically undercut Trump, undermine Trump as much as possible. Okay, I'll pet you. Jeez, don't be so pushy. Another one is, this is not really World War III, but just kind of, for those of you who want to be preppers out there, here's just another reason. We just got missed by a apartment building-sized asteroid the other night. 2017 AG-13. It just missed us. We only got like 2 days warning on it, and it was 576,000 kilometers away, about halfway to the moon, and something like that. So this thing was close, but they didn't see it until like 2 days ago. So from making this video, just so you know. Putin's Christmas speech. I don't know if you guys caught it. SGT Bull Report covered it. I caught parts of it before, but he was making a very big reference to how the United States lost its identity and stuff like that, and the world elites, how they're basically supporting the pedophilia rings and stuff like that. Putin did I gotta say, again, I don't trust Putin as far as you can throw him. I know I got some people on my channel that are Putinites, and Putin is the greatest thing since sliced bread. There are things like this that Putin does I really approve of. But basically calling out the establishment that's against its people. Again, the fact that it has to come from Russia, when Russia is the one that's telling you the truth, that's got to tell you what kind of world we're in, right? Knowing how corrupt the Russian government is. Again, I wouldn't want to live under Putin. If you're a pro-Putin, you'd be fine, but anti-Putin, you might disappear. That said, getting back to the sanctions Russia's thinking about lifting the sanctions on the new Canadian ambassador. She's, at first said that she was happy to be sanctioned by Russia. She wore it as a badge of honor. This lady, I wouldn't say she's incompetent, but she's full batshit crazy leftist. She's also globalist. She's not a Canadian. She's our trade deal minister, so now she's going to be the shifting to that. I guess because of that last trade deal. Again, I really don't know if that trade deal went through or not, the European trade deal, basically their version of the TTIP one or whatever. It's kind of signed, but I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, right? So they're trying to put that feather in their cap, but I don't think it's working. And Putin makes a reference to the elders of Zion. Wow, way to go, Putin. I don't think there's been a world leader that has done that. You know what I mean? So, that said, in California, you have Bill SV 1322, 1322, skulls and bones. And it basically legalizes child prostitution in the sense of where these children, if they're on the street and the cop comes up to them, they could say it's a human right, and basically, that they can't arrest them and take them off. Yeah, but Bill 1322. I'm going to be doing a thing on the Skulls and Bones pretty soon, and you'll understand that number. So that was on Alex Jones. Again, it's those stepping stones. It's that, where the law looks like it's just kind of, there's a loophole that allows child prostitution because you can't pull these kids off the street. That type of thing. But you see it as a stepping stone. It enables. These aren't by accidents. The United States has dropped 26,000 bombs on, basically 3 bombs, a minute per se, in the Middle East there, in Syria and in Libya over the past year. Okay. Also, another weird thing. You've got the John D. Rockefeller dug up by Anonymous, or it looked like it was a guy dug up, and stuff like that. So, again, the hits on the world elites. I don't know if you saw that video. I don't know how old that video is. I think it's new. If it's new, and they were basically centering their message to David Rockefeller after his 6th heart transplant. This guy, he's well over 100 now. I think he's 100, 101, whatever he is, and he just won't die. The guy's just disgusting looking. Finland, this plays into the economy part of it, is now starting to issue universal income. People have to understand how much of a backfire this is going to be. Now, Davos will be shadowed by the Trump inauguration, but we do have to pay attention to what's going to be happening at Davos. Davos usually it will be, I guess, around the end of this month. Now, the thing about Davos, look at last year. Davos, robot economy, driverless cars, and all the stuff that they were promoting, and the RFID chip in your skin, basically some people call it the mark of the beast, whatever. Cashless society. That's all they've been talking about. That's all you hear on the news. Driverless cars. Whatever that you hear at Davos, that's what you're going to hear for the next year because these are the billionaires and stuff like that, and the philanthropists and all them that want to run the world, right? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if an attack happens at Davos this year. Why? Again, if there was a place where the elites are all rounded up, I think we're going to start seeing that. I'm not calling for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. But I can only imagine the thing that they'll be pushing at Davos this year is going to be a one world currency. I think that's going to be their main theme. I don't know. We won't know until it's out. But I think they're going to double down on the robot economy and the automation economy and stuff like that. Google is usually big players there. I don't know if Prime Minister Trudeau is going to go there. I doubt Trump is going to go there, but maybe he might. But I would think, again, this is really, it's the meeting of the minds of the globalists are there. How do we want to run the world? I think what Davos is like the open Bilderberg meeting. I think that's what it is. If you want to look at it that way. Must pause for cat. So basically, you've got. Going out? Yes or no? Pick one. Not heating the outdoors. Go. Move it. Scoot. Out. Go. There. Holy jeez. Take your time, why don't you? From Estonia to Bulgaria, basically the U.S. troop build-up, I think something like 4,000 troops. It's going to be like 1,200 troops. I keep hearing different numbers in each country, something like 4,000 troops in total. And about 2,000 vehicles. This includes tanks and APCs and support vehicles and like that. So that's what's scheduled for 2017. There are some people out there saying that no, the U.S. isn't going to ramp down anytime soon. Even under Trump, it's not going to ramp down anytime soon. I don't know. With Trump, we don't know. Again, maybe the new boss will be the same as the old boss. If it doesn't ramp down, that's one thing. As long as it doesn't escalate anymore, I think there will be a de-escalation to a degree. But remember what Trump said, that they're going to negotiate with Russia from his position of strength only. Meaning, they're not going to pull a troop out of Poland or any of these countries anytime soon unless Russia gives them something, which I think fair is fair. I think that, okay, well, you guys back off of here, we'll back off of there. And just go tit for tat. And what I would love to see Trump do, and I think he might actually try to do it, is actually de-escalate the nuclear race, the nuclear arms race that's going on now. Now, what he has said about nukes is, he goes, these weapons shouldn't even be on our planet. He says, they're just insanity. Poor cats that fall into the snow. And she's disappeared. I see a tail up. And she's gone. I have to go send the rescue party for poor little thing. She's like, and I guess she's going under the step or whatever. She'll come back up whenever she's done doing whatever she's doing. But he said, okay, well, we're going to keep ramping. And Obama put, $1 to $3 trillion, $1.3 trillion, something like, I can't remember the exact number, you'll have to look at it yourself, of upgrades to the nuclear arsenal. Because, again, they're using Minuteman 1s, 2s, and 3s, when Russia, like their Topol-Ms and Sarmats, all carry anywhere between 10 and 12 warheads, the max that the U.S. has. And they're all pretty much, land-based. They don't have, I think the U.S. is probably going to start thinking more mobile launchers like Topol-M style, which make much more sense anyway, because tactically they're almost impossible. They move every 15 minutes. They take 3 minutes to set up. Topol-Ms anyway. Very terrifying machine. They become a hell of a deterrent. But I think what they're going to do is upgrade the arsenal, but maybe start to work back to what Reagan and Gorbachev and Bush Senior did. Start to go nuclear de-escalation. Okay, well, we're going to upgrade to have the more advanced weapons, but we'll get rid of the older stuff, that type of thing, and just try to downgrade like that. Hopefully that's what they do. Yeah, so the French won't use public polls in their election because of after what happened to Trump, with Trump and Brexit. So I hope at least Marine Le Pen gets in. I think Germany, I have a hunch that Angela Merkel is going to get in. Again, the Germans are too afraid to be racist and bigots, but that's going to be 10 times worse for them if they get Angela Merkel in. But at least if France can get Marine Le Pen in, it's a step in the right direction. Again, will it happen? Who knows? I mean, France and Germany with the migrant crisis, that's a war waiting to happen, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, and also over there in the UK, you have an Israeli diplomat, Shai Mossad, it sounds like Mossad, but Mossad or something like that, talking about how to take down basically the UK government. So this diplomat, the Israelis called him home. They say, oh, it's such a shame. But this is how the Israelis are. They're out there to destroy everybody else's country. I would basically exile every Israeli diplomat back to Israel. Just send them back there. Can't trust these bastards at all. I'm not saying it's all Jews, but the Israelis, again, we had the Israeli government pretty much declaring war on freaking New Zealand. Like, it's freaking New Zealand. Who declares war on New Zealand? They're the nicest people you're ever going to meet. Like, you don't vote the way we want in the UN. That's a declaration of war. Like, you not even understand what a declaration of war is. That's King BB Frey. Eric Braverman, still from the Clinton Foundation. That guy's still missing. Yeah. My cat head just popped up there. She's like, there's a lot of damn snow out here. It's taller than I am. She doesn't like it very much. You should have went out the other door. She can come back up. She can kind of walk on the snow. Solomon Shapiro, basically, this guy is he's connected to the Mossad. This goes back to that truck incident there in Germany, where just so you know, the 33rd Christmas booth thing was hit on that market, and there does seem to be a Masonic kind of connection there. There seems to be a Mossad connection there, so maybe that one you could probably say is suspicious. I'm not going to call it a false flag yet because we never really know. But Ollie, what the hell's his name? Anyway, on SGT report there, he's been covering it, and he makes a lot of good point outs. But again, like anything, it's hard to say for sure. We'll never know for sure, but it does. There does seem to be an agenda with these things. So anyway, just so you know, something to look at. Russia's Su-30 and Su-35s. Okay, there's video footage out there, or at least photographs of these things flying in the area of Turkish troops, actually giving support to Turkish troops. So Turkey, I believe, has now turned to the Russian side, which makes more sense because I think Russia can do way more damage to them than the U.S. can. That said, the power outage in Turkey, I think, is being blamed on the U.S. That type of thing. Because, again, the U.S., again, Turkey, if they lose Turkey as a NATO member, NATO falls apart right after that. Like, I mean, people, it's just that penguin effect. Once one jumps off the bandwagon, the rest will. I think what you're going to see is the replacement of NATO is that European army. That makes more sense anyway, because then it gets North America out of it, the Anglo-American Empire out of it to a great deal, and the petrodollar out of it, and then it just goes to, okay, well, you know, who wants to be in NATO, who doesn't? But with Trump, if he makes people pay their fair share of NATO, well, you're going to see a lot of people jump out of NATO because they can't pay it. And that could even include Canada. And I'd be okay with that because the money we waste on NATO, the military we could have could be 10 times better. You know, no, just jump in front of the camera. That's okay. You know, I wasn't doing anything. You know. Yeah. So, sorry for interruption of cat. Missy, you're such a bad little cat. Good. Anyway, the thing is that if Canada were to get out of NATO, okay, we could put more money into NORAD. NORAD makes sense to work with the Americans on that because, you know, the Russians right on our border. Fine. But the money we would save, I mean, the main fee, I think, is something like $400 million a year. So $400 million a year. You take $100 million, you put it back into Veterans Affairs. Take another $100 million, you put it into, you know, new equipment for the military. Which $400 million isn't a lot for a military, but a country the size of Canada, we wouldn't have parts flying off our CF-18s. We'd have, you know, for $400 million bucks or $100 million bucks, you could start designing your own aircraft. You could start doing that and do that every year until you've got your own independent military completely, and we would have had that had we kept the Avro-Aero program. The Avro-Aero program was the death of Canadian sovereignty. It was the beginning of death of Canadian sovereignty. NAFTA was the second death of it, in my opinion. Or I'd say the second death of it was the removal of the gold standard and the removal of the Bank Canada being, you know, under the control of the people, and then NAFTA, that type of thing. So these type of things, very, very, you know, again, we can do so much more with that money. And the other $200 million, you take $100 million, give it back as a tax break, because if there's anything anybody needs right now in Canada, it's a tax break. And then take it one step further, take the other $100 million, take half of it, just basically put it towards the deficit, take the other half, put it back into healthcare or retirement or whatever. Spread it out that way. We've got out of the United Nations, takes that $400 million. That's just the membership fees. That's not, you know, there's billions of dollars on top of that we throw in. So all that money, again, no longer going out of the country. My door just blew open. Hang on. Got a ghost. Sorry, Missy. That type of thing. But anyway. Oh, you know. Sometimes it gets really windy, the door blows open. That really sucks when that happens at night when it's like minus 40. You wake up like, wow! It's like, there's ice on your nose. That's happened a couple of times. I remember one year, geez, we had to put the freaking chair against the door all night. It was just, the wind was so powerful, it kept blowing over the door, and then it would blow that door, and then it sucked that door open, and then you hear them sucking open and closing. It's like, oh, stop it. Yeah, mind you, these are old doors. That type of thing. Well, this house, I think started building in 76, 78, so, yeah, I think it was 78, so it's been around for a while. Yeah, so the Russians might be helping there. We talked about the B-52 losing its engine, that type of thing. The crew was fine. Everybody made it back. Cyber attacks up here in Canada on Hydro 1, which is in Ontario, which the CBC here is starting to build up cyber attacks against Canada. Oh, we don't have the budget to take care of it and stuff like that. They're really trying to get it. So really trying to get the, Donald Trump doesn't believe the CIA. Well, why would you believe the CIA? Remember weapons of mass destruction? They got trust issues. Again, and the mainstream media doubling down on it. Well, we should automatically trust our intelligence agencies. The ones that get us into these phony wars all over the place? Yeah. I think that people are, the emperor has no clothes. Like, the mainstream media really doesn't have any power anymore. It really doesn't. Yes, there's older generations that will listen to what they say and be more likely to believe them. But even at that, like, I'll be out and about and I'll hear, like, for example, I went and my dad and I, what the hell were we going to get? But anyway, we went and we had breakfast up in Chauvel, a couple of towns over. in there one morning, and I'm listening to people at another table talking about the same events I'm talking about. And they were older, like they were in their 60s, whatever, retirees, right? And they're like, "Oh, that Kim Jong-un guy, he's a real whack job." But look what they're doing, though. You don't razz the crazy guy. It's like, he's going to go nuts. It's like they're really provoking him. So at least they're not buying the bullshit of the mainstream media. I don't think anybody is. And it's not so much when I hear it from the younger generation. Where my fears with the younger generation is the brainwashing they're getting in school. But then, you're black-pilled for a while, and then you see like that, the especially young white males, they're starting to really understand that the system hates them. How much they, it's like, oh my God, like you're trying to convince me of how horrible of a person I am, and I'm only 15 years old, that type of thing, right? National Geographic, I don't know if you've seen it, I don't know how new it is, but the gender thing, and they got this poor little boy, they're all in pink, and sitting there going how happy he is that he's a girl now, and I'm like, that's child abuse. That's definitely child abuse. And National Geographic, again, Rockefellers, Rothschilds. The agenda, like, people are rejecting it. They are rejecting it. Even up here in Canada, there are people that are starting to go against the LGBTQ community in the schoolings. And they should. There should be schools should not be politicized. That type of thing. Yes, you need to know what your basic parliament structure is and stuff like that, and how your government works, sure. But the idea that it's a brainwashing indoctrination center, again, you can look at the stats there. I know a little while ago, homeschooling was on the rise in Canada and the United States, and I think that's going to be the wave of the future because they're going to have to outlaw homeschooling, and you can see that they're trying it, time in places, particularly in the States. Here in Canada, they'll just do it federally. Oh well, we've got to make sure every kid has the proper education. So that younger generation is the one I worry about. My nephew's generation, he's going to scoot in or out. Well, no, just make me get up and open the door for nothing. No, that's fine. That's fine. If I care, the world revolves around you. I get that. No. Make me get up. You don't see the dog not listening. Well, the dog doesn't listen to me. I get no respect. Anyway, so we got the older people that mainly watch the mainstream media, and that becomes a concern because then they'll believe anything. But it's not the older generation that's going to fight, and they're not really going to vote, for war. They usually don't vote for war. That type of thing. They want retirement. They want health care. They want that stuff. That's what they vote for. The mid generations, Gen Xers like myself, we're somewhere in the middle because there's a lot of my friends that don't even have Facebook. I don't use that shit. They don't even know how to turn on a computer. My dad doesn't know how to turn on the computer. Well, he can turn on the computer. He can get onto the internet. But it kind of, that's, he'll go in and he's looking for a part, for a car. He goes in, he just punches in the part number on the car, hits enter, and he's like, well, it's all this other shit coming up. He doesn't understand, the internet is not super, super well organized. You got to kind of know what you're looking for. And then when you say well, how come I can't find this? Well, I don't know. You just got to keep searching until you find what you're looking for. Well, that's stupid. It's like, kind of system's that, bring back microfiche. We need microfiche. That works. You put it in, you put the card in, you scroll down, you find it. But it's adorable in a way, but but they don't understand. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Because it's not their generation. It's not their thing. But the younger generation, all they do is online, to the point where it's too much. And the thing is that they are able to look at other sources. I'm more worried about little girls than I am little boys, because little boys tend to be rebellious by nature anyway. So if you're telling every boy, but I also worry about little boys in this, is that you keep telling all the white little boys how horrible they are. Sure, it depresses a lot of them, and a lot of them are committing suicide, as young men when they get into their adulthood. The suicides amongst Caucasian white men is probably the highest in the world. In Canada, the highest suicide rates are amongst the natives. I think is what the last statistics were. You'll have to look into it. But look at the conditions they live in on the reserves. They're in squabble. So that's a different type of depression. But with the white males, it's because everybody hates me. That type of thing. Everybody hates me just for me being me. That type of thing, and that's all they get. Like these white privilege courses and all these things that are coming out now that are mandatory to brainwash. Now, I think it goes a couple of different ways. And again, it's getting to the point where even the kids are starting to see that. No, this isn't. There's something off. This is. I'm not learning here. I'm getting told something that just doesn't add up. And some of them are actually picking up on it. Now, they usually don't pick up on it until they're young men. They get out in the real world and they realize how much the system hates them. And it's clear. It's clearly hate towards white males. Like it's everything is geared to blame us for everything. And okay, fair enough. But then when they speak up, it's like, oh my God, how dare you, you misogynist, racist, bigot, anti-Semite, thisophobe, dataphobe, and it just goes on and on and on. Well, that's just going to make them, again, you kick a dog enough, you'll make them cross. And that's what the left is doubling down on now for the 2017 Bolshevik Revolution 2.0, as we'll call it, the war on reality. And you see it on the magazine covers. I mean, when I look at this National Geographic magazine cover, I am like, that is just so wrong. Like, to me, that is pedophilia. Why did that kid did not come to that conclusion on his own. He didn't grow up saying, oh, wow, I just want to be a little girl. No, that's propaganda. It's child abuse. It's just horrible what they're doing. Yeah. I mean, this is what Putin was talking about in his Christmas speech, is the war on reality, and this is it, And this is the war we have to fight. Now, we have to fight a war on reality at the same time as a possibility of a war against Russia and China. Now, think about it this way. You go to China, okay? I've never been to China, but I look at what they're doing there. The boys are boys, the girls are girls. You step out of line in China, people kick your ass. It's that type of thing. Look at these hell marches from the Chinese military. These guys, they've got pins in their collars so that if they turn their head, because whatever way they're supposed to look, they go, like, okay, that's too far. But it's not like a little toothpick or a stop or something to stop. No, it's a pin, because they're going to punish you if you step out of line all the time. You get this 300-pound fat Chinese guy in combat boots running on these little Chinese women. They're soldiers. Lying in the ocean when it's like cold, so they're sitting there freezing, mind you. and you see this big fat guy run across their bellies. And you're like, okay, so that's the and then you watch them do their katas. When they're practicing their martial arts, there's like 10,000 guys there moving as one unit. It's disciplined. It's extremely disciplined. I think to fight the Chinese right now, because their psychology is what gives them the upper hand. You got a guy that can't understand what bathroom to use, and you're going to give him a rifle. He might be a good soldier, but he's going to be a soldier with the peace emblem on his helmet. You know what I mean? Again, against the guy where the other guys, they're trained that you must kill the enemy at all costs. You know what I mean? Like it's a complete different mindset. Is it all of them? No, but I mean, I'm not putting down our soldiers at all, but it's a different mindset. We don't have that like a Canadian soldier from the 1950s is a complete, utter psychopathic asshole. And to confirm this, they would join the airborne. And what do? Our most effective regiment went way back to World War II, linking into the Devil's Brigade. And the Devil's Brigade, who are those? Those are the guys that joined the war to kill people. They didn't join to fight for the country. That was just a bonus. They joined to kill people. Why? Because let's go. They were the Devil's Brigade. And that type of thing. And that kind of fighting spirit isn't the same as what you got now in the populism. Now, the soldiers that we have now are pretty professional. They're, they've got that kind of, especially Canadian soldiers, you'll notice, they're nice. They got a bit of a stiff upper lip. You'll see it like, in the Marines, you'll see it, all that type of, you'll see it definitely with the Canadian soldiers. They have a politeness, but a stiff upper lip. I don't know if that makes sense. But, they're there. And then that's fine, but what they're changing it to now is gender parity. So you're going to have a military that has to have, a mix of diversity and women and transgenders. You have to have a certain amount of transgender officers, that type of thing. Who's going to follow orders from a person who doesn't know who can't deal with reality? That's not confidence inspiring. That's going to ruin your own military. No, I want the most. If I was prime minister, this is what I'd say: you can be gay, but keep it to yourself, like the way it used to be. Okay. Here's the standard. The women's standards are going to have to come up to the men's standards. We're putting the men's standards up higher than what they are. Everybody's going, and there are women that will be able to meet these standards. There are women that can meet these standards now. And I remember talking to this girl from. She made it into the Air Force, but she was Army, and then after her boot camp or whatever, she joined into the Air Force. But she was saying, she goes like, it really pissed her off because she goes, I could make the grade at the men's level. I could do as many push-ups. She goes, I could do more push-ups than they could. I was better than them. She full ego, whatever. And that was good because she was in top-notch health. I run 5 miles a day, whatever, that type of thing. Exception to the rule. And she goes, and they lower the standards for me, which everybody's like, okay, well, you got in, but your standards were down here. She goes, that's not equality. And I agreed with her. I said, yeah, and that type of thing. And that's what needs to be done with your military. Here's the standard. Look, the Chinese are doing that. Okay, if we're going to throw the male soldiers through hula hoops of fire or whatever and do all these crazy show-off things that the Chinese do, whatever, throw you off a building upside down with a machine gun, whatever, okay, fine. With the bungee cord, of course. Okay, fine. Well, they do it to the men and women. Like, the standards are the same for both. Yes, women have limitations that men don't have, whatever. But at least it's about the standard. And right now what we've got is a lowering of standards across the board on just about everything. And a war on reality at a time when we're going to be facing an opponent who does not have any gender dysphoria or anything like that. And you have to bring that in there because this is what is coming into our military now. And the rapid sexism in the military. So guys are just leaving left, right, and center. So who's going to defend the damn country? Who's going to defend the country? We need the airborne back. That's what we need. We need those guys. JTF-2 is excellent, but they're too small. They're too small. The CANSOR is excellent, but they're too small. There's not enough of them. These guys, these are our super soldiers. People around the world, they look at CANSOR or JTF-2 and they're like, can we train with you guys? They're respected around the world. Why? Because these guys, they know what they're there to do. They're the best of the best of the best of the best. And that type of thing. And we don't back those guys. We back political correctness, people getting lost on their way to college, that type of thing. No, the military should be about a military. That's why I think a defensive military, not a globalist military, but a defensive military would be much better for Canada. And by getting out of NATO and a few other things, we could have a military 10 times stronger. We could have a civilian brigade. Okay, here you go. You're going to get 3 weeks training. Here's basically like the 3rd Canadian Rangers. Just make every citizen one of that. Okay, we'll just pass out the Lee Enfields. Pass out the Lee Enfields. Or the new Canadian Ranger rifle, which looks really nice. Okay, at least train them to be, like sniper light. Okay, well, here's what you're going to have to learn how to do. And of course, no criminal background or all that stuff. Basic orders. Here's how you use an artillery gun. Here's how you use a rocket launcher. Here's how you use a machine gun. Here's how you use your bolt-action rifle. Kind of like what Switzerland does, but you do this with the entire population. Then at least you've got an army of 36 million. You know what I mean? Okay, give them 10 rounds bonus on their way out. And it just, you set it up like that, and it would just be at least that far. Then you don't have to rely on a huge military. It's like, okay, you just got a civilian force out there. And you could start this in the schoolings. Teach kids how to use firearms safely in the schools. That type of thing. It's funny how people are so against education. But anyway, I digress off my rant there. But you get what we're up against. And if I offended any soldiers or whatever, the soldiers that are soldiers know they're soldiers. But you have to understand the indoctrination that's coming in and the mandates that are coming in is getting rid of soldiers. It's just turning it into a transgendered shit show in the military. That shouldn't happen. Again, you have to look at what you're going to be facing on the battlefield. The Chinese, I mean, I'll have 10 rounds, and here's how I want to deal with the Chinese when they come over the wall or come over the hilltops at 5,000 at a time. Okay, I want my machine gun here, I want my rifle here with as many rounds, and I want 500 hand grenades. And I want a guy just sitting there just lobbing hand grenades. Why? Because that's how you stop the bastards. North Korea, the 28 heroes, that's a battle, epic battle. 28 guys, 29 guys, I think one guy got killed, fighting off 1,500 Chinese for 19 hours straight on a hilltop with basically grenades, Lee Enfields, a Bren gun or two, and freaking a few FAL rifles and a few mortars. Like, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Those guys, that's who I want. That's who I want, protecting my country. And if they would have got past those guys, nuclear war would have probably have happened. Truman, I believe it was Truman at that time, had the B-29s loaded, ready to go. If they would have come past that the 38th parallel, the 39th parallel, whatever it is, bang. If they would have made it past the Canadians, you know what I mean? What kind of guys were these guys? Did they have any problems with their identity, and reality? No, they were dealing with reality. You know what I mean? That's what very legendary, very historic. Anyway, that said, I guess I'll just finish up with two things. I was supposed to make this the main thing, but the U.S. unemployment is at 62.7 if you calculate it real, and the Americans have opened fire basically on a couple of Iranian boats. Remember, Iran is over here, the United States is over here, and they're saying, well, they've got within 800 meters of our boats, so whatever, these little Iranian speedboats. And what they're saying is that basically that the Iranians, again, just think about it. If the Iranians had warships in the Gulf of Mexico, you don't think the U.S. would send out boats to, keep it off the Strait of Hormuz, that type of thing? But that said, I do worry about Trump, because Trump's, again, I think Trump is probably, they're going to use him to get into a war with Iran, and then go back to Syria later. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's the big one. So I think 3 to 4 shots were fired. There's a couple of different reports out there at these gunboats, basically over the bow, that type of thing, just to keep it away from the warships. But that said, the warships, I think the Iranians would probably just artillery the warships anyway. A bad place to be, the Strait of Hormuz. That or just sea mines will get you. Even with the minesweepers there, it's like you got you've got anti-shipping missiles on the shore, artillery, fighter jets to deal with, and gunboats. I'm pretty sure the Iranians will take heavy losses, but there won't be a U.S. warship left alive. That's that type of thing. So anyway, that's what's going on. Sorry, I left that to the very end. I meant to go on a little bit longer on that, but anyway, I'll leave it at that. So, if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next time, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourselves. Be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. Good day, hi, and welcome. All right, let's go look. You stupid sadistic. Oh, the snow's coming off the roof. It's really mild right now. It's like +2 or something like that. So, got to clean my chimney today. Good day to do that. They don't have to light a fire. But it was snowing and sleeting and raining last night. It was pretty yucky. And, so there's going to be some shoveling today. Not as bad as the other day. The other day was quite ridiculous. But the problem is when it's mild, the snow is like 5 times heavier. It's like 10 pounds per square inch on the shovel. Anyway, World War III update. I'm going to start right in on my own country here, Canada. The Russians are talking about lifting sanctions on the new Canadian ambassador to Russia, which is Miss Freeland. The one that was doing the Trans-Pacific Trade, or the TTIP deal, the one that was kind of like pulling her hair out. Her. Now, there's been a cabinet shuffle here in Canada. Check out my hat. Basically, what's going on with the Trudeau government is, and it's costly. Cabinet shuffles are not that uncommon, but there's I think 6 or 8 of them that are being shuffled around, and 2 that are retiring and stuff like that. John McClellan, we'll start with him. I can't stand that guy. I think he's going to Germany. And good riddance. I think because these guys want to run the UN. That's why John McClellan. But if he's out of my country, I'm okay with that. Problem is this guy is a very UN-oriented guy. So he's one of them. He might not look like much to the average person, but I do believe behind the scenes, and other people have mentioned some other names there. I kind of forget some of the names, but Jean Chrétien, John McClellan, them type of guys, I think they do work hand in hand, and these guys work directly with George Soros. That type of thing. The other one is Stéphane Dion, who I didn't know was a dual citizen. He's going to be the ambassador to France, and he's a half French citizen and half Canadian citizen. I'm really against dual citizens in our government, in high prominent positions of the government, because it's like these dual Israeli citizens and stuff like that. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. Like, are they really here for our interest? It's a loyalty issue. Again, when I'm Prime Minister, I'm going to change that. You have to be born in Canada to serve at the higher echelons of government. Yes, we're going to discriminate. That type of thing. It's because you just don't know if they're truly, and the actions that these guys take, I mean, they're definitely not pro-sovereignty of Canada. They're pro-UN. So those 2 guys are moving around. There's a few, Marc Garneau, I forget where he's moving to. But the 2 girls, I did a video on them not too long ago about doing the right thing, and the one that was in charge, I forget her name right now, that was in charge of the Elections Act to reform the electoral process here in Canada, has underperformed. Again, this is what gender parity does. Again, it's not about qualifications, it's about quotas. And these people are failing. Now, the other one, I don't know if I can imagine she's probably stepped down by now. If she hasn't, then, I mean, she's masochistic to herself because, just way in over her head. And people are, one of the main complaints was that, of the underperformance, is that all they can do in the House of Parliament is just keep regurgitating the party line. That's it. There's no dialogue or argument. It's just, and it's their own party members want them out of there. So they're trying to get more competent people there. But they still have to go with this gender parity thing. And, you have to have 50% women and stuff like that. So, again, like I said, with Justin Trudeau, it's twice as sexist to appoint women because filling quotas than it is to actually let the ones that are competent, rise to the top. And if there happens to be fewer of them, then that's on the women. That's not on the men. Same with minorities and everything. You should earn your way to the top. You shouldn't be, because when you just hand things to people, this is a participation war, which on a small level, nobody cares, but on a world stage or running a country, yes, you need competent people. So the Trudeau government, I think this is shuffle number one within the first year. But, again, you do get that. That isn't out of the ordinary. It's just, it's a little larger than normal, I think. Again, it's not like when the Conservative Party would shuffle people around, they would take somebody who was, okay, well, they're competent in this area, but they're also perfectly adapted to this area. And they shuffle them around, and none of them are ever questioned whether they're competent or not. I'm not saying the Conservatives are best, because there are some Conservatives, like Brasseur there, he was, he was a complete, nutter, that type of thing. Okay, yeah, sure, you get them. And they purged them out of the party right away. That was one of the things that, with the Harper government, that you noticed. They'd go to bat for you, but if you went against the party man, you're on your own. And that type of thing. But with the Liberals, it's like you have one of the Liberal MPs out there saying, well, what it shows is that nobody's positions are guaranteed. You have to perform, which valid statement. But the problem is this isn't a social experiment. This isn't something that is supposed to be, let's keep trying until we get it right. This is supposed to be, when you're at that level, when you're on CPAC, when you're in the House of Commons, you got to be the best at what you're doing. It's just that it's not even a matter of who elected you or whatever. You're an appointed person. You need to be the most competent. If you look at what Donald Trump's doing, yes, there's a lot of questions about. One thing you'll question about Donald Trump is the people that he, especially the Goldman Sachs crowd, that he's surrounding himself by. Nobody questions. They question why he's doing that, but they don't question, are these people competent? They know these people know the system. But maybe some of the arguments you're getting is that Trump is surrounding himself with people who know how to undo the damage that was done, because they know how it was done. Locksmiths. A lot of locksmiths, strangely enough, were people that were arrested for breaking into things. They get hired because they know how. That's their expertise, right? They know how to break into things. That's why they become the best locksmiths, because they know how. Well, they know what tricks are going to be used against you, right? Think of it like that. Anyway, we have a weird thing going on over there in Iraq and Syria. We have a handful of, something like 200 U.S. troops just dropped in, and they're removing people and bodies from some of the areas and papers and stuff like that. So it looks like they're a cleanup crew. Now, for the guys that do this, okay, here's the thing you have to understand. If you're removing CIA and Mossad agents or whatever and carrying bodies out, apparently they've captured a few prominent ISIS leaders or whatever. But it sounds more what they're doing is that they're, okay, well, the operation has failed, we have to get our guys out of there. Because if they get caught, they're going to be tortured until they speak, right? And if they speak, the jig's up. That type of thing. So that's probably what they're doing. It's funny how this team knows where to go. They know exactly where to go in. And again, they're not taking any fire or nothing. They're going in, that type of thing. So what I would say is for these guys just following orders, understand that these guys that you're helping out are also the same guys that were guiding the guys to shoot at your other guys. You know what I mean? They're using, to me, it makes, if people look at